Hey guys, welcome back to a super special tutorial. We're going to be covering a lot in here, a lot. There's a lot of different techniques that we're going to use to achieve the effect that we're trying to create. Basically, the effect we're trying to create is a logo pressing into cloth. We're going to get some still frames and hopefully some animation out of this. It's going to be experimental. We're kind of just going for it. There's no plan. I hope you guys like these style tutorials. Let's hop right into it. So I found this awesome logo. I went ahead online and I typed in SVG Google logo. Originally, I was just going to do the Google logo, but I did stumble upon this one, which is Creative Commons. So I'm going to actually download this SVG, which I've already done, and then I'm going to open up a program called Tinkercad. Now, most of you are saying, Kenny, let's just use Blender. Well, this is also free, so we're going to use this because it's just much quicker. I'm going to go ahead and create a new design. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to import our SVG that we just downloaded. So go ahead and locate that. And then you're going to want to go ahead and adjust your dimensions. It's giving us a little error here. We're going to adjust this to 1000 on both ends. Go ahead and click on import. And what this is actually going to do is it's going to import our model in here, our SVG, and it's actually going to convert it into a 3D object for us. Now it did kind of the inverse, but that is okay. I'm just going to scale this down, bring it to the center, and we'll use a Boolean in Blender to cut this out of a cube or something like that. I'm just going to extrude this up a little bit like that. That looks good. And then I'm going to bump up the quality to the highest resolution. Go ahead and click on our object, export. And I'm going to export as an OBJ and an STL, and we're just going to see which one works better for our needs. Again, you can do this in Blender. I'm choosing not to because I want to show you guys some alternatives. For those of you who don't want to go through that extrusion process in Blender, that's totally fine. All right, we have our object and our STL. I'm just going to go ahead and open up our downloads here and drop the object file in here. That's awesome. All right, cool. So we have our object ready to go. Let's go ahead and open up Blender. All right, guys, so we're in Blender here, and we're actually going to import the 3D model that we just made. I'm going to delete everything in our scene except for the camera, file, import. Let's go ahead and try the OBJ first. See what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and tab into edit mode on this. Wow, very strange. All right, let's go ahead and import the STL as well and just see which one is kind of looking better here. I think it's this one. All right, cool. STL is looking okay as well. It's still a little janky, but again, this is kind of what you get when you do it that way, but that's fine. All right, let's go ahead and actually cut with a Boolean to get our shape. So we have our general shape here for the logo. Again, if you guys want to use your own logo, that's totally fine. I'm just doing it this way. Let's go ahead and add in a cube. That's good. And then let's go ahead and click on this. Make sure you have the bool tool enabled. Click on this, shift click your cube, control shift B, and then click on difference. And now I believe we properly cut everything out. That looks good. Let's go ahead and scale this down on the Z. Bring it up. Keep scaling it on the Z. Bring it up. And that looks pretty much perfect. Go ahead to your modifiers tab. Apply that. Tab into edit mode. Delete everything we don't need. Delete any like loose vertices that you see. And there's your logo. So obviously that was kind of like the reverse process. I actually expected Tinkercad to give us this right away, but it did not. That's okay. We're just going to go ahead and roll with this. As you guys can see, there's some strange geometry going on here. So if you wanted to, you could do your own remesh modifier. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and save this as cloth press. And we're going to go ahead and save this file. So as you guys can see, again, we have some kind of weird looking geometry, but we're just going to kind of roll with it. I'm going to go to my rendered view, go to Cycles, GPU. I'm just going to go ahead and add in an environment texture here. And I think I'm going to add that sky texture that I just downloaded, which is available on Polyhaven for free. I just think it looks awesome. It gives some really nice lighting to the scene. I'm also going to shade this auto smooth, tab into edit mode, and I think I'm going to start to go ahead and give some materials to this object. Let's go ahead and reference our actual logo right here, and let's try to color it accordingly. Cool. So as you guys can see, I have my side-by-side view. Let me just move everything down so you can see what I'm doing. Awesome. So right here, we have this little hook shape up here. We're going to go ahead and select that. I think it's L to select like individual things, but since everything's connected, we're probably going to have to select it on our own basis here. So I'm also going to go ahead and enable our X-ray mode so we can select anything that is hidden. So I'm going to go ahead and start like shift selecting everything that I want to color that green color there. Go to my top-down view. I'm just highlighting as much as I possibly can. Good. Make sure we don't miss anything here. I think I got almost everything. I think I'm missing like one face right here. That looks good. Oh, I'm missing these two faces here. Cool. That looks good. I think I have an additional one that I don't need right there, but we'll come back to that. Oh, and then did we get the bottom? Cool. All right, I think we have everything selected. Now let's go over to our materials. Make a new material. I'm just going to make this green for now, and then click on Assign. Oops. Okay, it's not assigning. Why is it not assigning? There we go. Okay, so it looks like we had a few too many things selected there. We want to deselect this. Guys, give me one moment here. I'm not sure why that happened there. I might try to separate this by loose parts. Let's just see what happens if we do. Yeah, there's no loose parts. I didn't think there was. All right, that's fine. Actually, guys, one of the things I'm going to do to help separate this logo out, because I can already tell it's going to become a pain, is I'm going to actually cut into it with a Boolean, and then we're just going to separate everything individually. Again, like I said, this is more of a trial and error kind of project. We're just going to kind of work with it the best that we can. I'm just going to add in a cube, scale it in, scale it up, scale it along the Y, and I'm just going to create this very thin shape that we're then going to use to cut into this area right here. Again, this is going to be very, very thin and placed as accurately as possible. Cool. Oh, geez. There we go. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use this to cut into everything. And I'm going to try not to hit this little area right here. That looks pretty much perfect there. Cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use this to cut into everything else. Object apply scale first, and then shift click the thing we want to cut into. Use our Boolean, and did that work? And it did not work. Why did that not work? There we go. All right, that's good. And then I think I'm going to do one more at the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and Shift D on the Y, and I'm going to split this area as well. Click on this. Difference. Cool. As you can see, we have our splits set up. That looks good. There's only one more, and that's this piece. Of course, there's going to be a complicated piece that's going to be at this very precise dimension and rotation. And we're going to try our best to get that going there. We're just making these cuts with the bool tool. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. Oops. Sorry, duplicate this. Put it right about there. And then difference. Honestly, I kind of like this better. I actually kind of like the vibe. And I'm just going to apply all of these booleans. And then we're going to separate everything out. Cool. Delete, delete, and delete. And now if we tab into edit mode and we separate by loose parts, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. Awesome. That is exactly what I wanted. And now I'm just going to get rid of these silly materials that we assigned on all of these. Awesome. Now we can just give them individual colors because sometimes assigning materials is a pain in the butt. All right, cool. So we have this all set up. Let's go ahead and just give this a nice green color. And we'll come back and adjust the actual like values of everything later. But let's go ahead and just give these a nice blue color. We'll give this one a red color. And then this one we'll give yellow. Cool. That looks pretty good. Now we kind of have our 3D object here. And it does look pretty good. Again, it's not perfect, guys. We're not going to get into like a lot of modeling stuff because that's not really my strong suit. But just being totally honest with you guys, it's something I'm still working on. But for the most part, this looks pretty good. And I think we're ready to actually take this and make it interact with some kind of cloth. Let me just go ahead to rendered view and kind of see what this looks like here. Wow, it looks so cool. I love Blender. Blender's amazing. All right, let's go ahead and take the camera. Let's go ahead and just reset all the values of the camera to 0. And then we're just going to bring the camera up on the Z-axis. I'm going to snap to the camera. I'm going to bring the camera back up into view like that. And then we'll go back into full screen here so we can kind of see what we're working with here. Cool. Now, as you guys can see, we have our logo all set up. We'll eventually need to add some physics and stuff to this. But right now, this looks fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and just add in something that is going to kind of act as our cloth. But before we do that, let's parent this entire thing to an empty. So I'm going to go ahead and add an empty in here. Cube, scale it up, go to the side view, scale it down, move it up, scale it in, move it over. Now what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm just making basically a box that is going to contain our logo. And the reason I like to do this is because it's just so much easier to then take this and animate this entire box rather than each individual object. So let's go ahead and click on everything here and shift click the empty, Control P, object, and I believe I did it wrong. I did it in the reverse order. Sorry, guys. I think you do that. There we go. All right, so now everything is parented to the empty. Good to go. So we can rotate the empty. We can do whatever we want with our logo. This is fantastic. This is just a nice little workflow that I like to use here. Again, I do this with a lot of my projects, so you can do it if you want. You don't have to. Let's go ahead and add in our solid mode. Let's go ahead and add a mesh plane. Scale it up by like 20. Move it below our object here. Tab into edit mode. Subdivide it. Let's subdivide it like, I don't know, like 20 times for now. And we'll come back to this later. So it's subdivided very nicely for us. I'm going to bring it a little bit up here. I'm going to bring this up. I just don't like that grid showing in front of our object. So as you guys can see, this thing is subdivided a bunch of times. Let's go ahead and add in a physics property. We're going to add in cloth here. Quality steps 5. That's good to go. I'm also going to turn off the world gravity because we're not going to be using that. And then I'm just going to do a quick test here with a cube. I'm going to scale it up, bring it down, and we're just going to make sure our cloth is working properly. Go over to rigid body, passive, convex hull is fine, and I think, actually I'm going to turn gravity back on for a second because then we can have our cloth drop on here. As you can see, it's not working. We're going to need to set up a collision. If I remember correctly, cloth, and then, where is it, collision? No. Got it. Oh my god, refresh me, guys. Where is it? Click on this. Collision. There we go. Okay, so you're going to need the collision on your box there. Apologies about that, guys. Kind of forget sometimes. I haven't done a cloth sim in a while. All right, that looks pretty good. So as you guys can see, it's like kind of like low poly, quote unquote, and that's because it doesn't have a lot of subdivisions. And then also the actual cloth itself, the quality steps are only set to 5. So we're going to be bumping up a lot of these things. But the very first thing I'm going to do is delete our cube, turn our gravity back off, and if we press play, you can see nothing happens. One of the things I'm going to do eventually, and I'll probably turn this off for now, but I'm going to add in a turbulence force field. Scale that up a little bit just so we can see it, and then maybe like a value of 10, and it should affect our cloth. See how it's affecting the cloth? Pretty cool. Now we have gravity turned off, which is fantastic. When we start to increase the level of subdivisions in this thing, we're going to get some really cool effects with this cloth. Now, right now, we're still not where we want it to be. Another thing we're going to do eventually is we're going to add a subdiv modifier to our cloth. But as you can see, if we go into rendered view, it does look pretty cool. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add like a simple metallic shader to this just so we can kind of see it very easily. I'm also going to scale it down. Go to frame 1 when you scale. Scale it down, object, apply, scale. And let's go ahead and play it back. It's going to be kind of hard to see. We're going to increase this turbulence a little bit. Now, we're just messing with this right now to get our settings right, but let's go ahead and see. You can see that it is already warping this, which is fantastic. So now the goal is to take our object and press it into the cloth, right? And again, we're going to adjust all these settings as we go. We're going to need to make this a collision object. So each one of these is going to need to have collision. So let me add collision to this one. And then we're going to animate our empty. So we're going to start it right here. Insert location and rotation. Let's just jump to frame 20. Bring this down to like right here. Insert location and rotation. And let's just play this back and make sure that our object is interacting. As you can see right there, it was interacting. You can kind of see where it pressed down and touched our object. This is fantastic. This is exactly what we want. And now the goal is to just give these other ones collision. Again, we're just clicking on every part of the logo here. Collision, collision, and collision. Cool. And then we're going to go ahead and take this cloth and subdivide it one more time. And then eventually we're going to have to bake, because when we play this back, you'll notice it plays at such a slow frame rate. But look how cool that looked when it touched down on our cloth there. Now, again, we're going to also give our cloth whatever type of material we want. But how cool was that when that just kind of smacked down on there and did that really cool effect? And then obviously the turbulence, we can mess with that as much as we want. We can even start our turbulence at 0. Keyframe it, right? Go to about, what, frame 20 or so. Let's go to frame 19. Keyframe it at 0 again. And then go forward 1 frame, and let's make it 50. All right? And now what this is going to do is as soon as that logo hits, it's going to add turbulence to the entire thing. Now, in terms of the actual cloth, we're going to want to go to our cache here. I'll just go to like frame 100. And I'm just going to click on bake. And we'll give that a second to bake. And let's just go ahead and see what we get. As you can see, it's going kind of slow because there is a lot going on here. But our settings are actually quite low at this point. We can get much higher. Let's just go ahead and see what our result looks like. That looks really cool. I want this to interact even more. And I actually want our empty on frame 20 to go down even deeper, like right here. So I'm just going to kind of change that location and rotation keyframe. I'm going to also delete the bake, and then I'm going to go back up into our cloth settings, and I think I'm going to set the quality steps to like 8, and then let's go ahead and click on bake. Should take a little bit longer to bake now because the quality is going to be much higher at this point. Let's go ahead and see what this is going to give us, though. I'm really, really curious. And again, a lot of this stuff, guys, is playing around with the physics, playing around with the settings. Let's go ahead and play this back. Whoa! Whoa! That was cool. All right, let's go ahead and play this back again, guys. Ready? Whoa! That was awesome. Let's go to render view and check that out. Huh! That was pretty cool. Now, it's getting a little glitchy under here. You can kind of see the polygon, like the individual polygons and stuff. We should be able to smooth that out. One of the ways we can smooth that out is we can auto smooth it, but you can see there's still some rigid areas. This is where that subdivision surface modifier comes in. Now, when you guys add this in, it is going to significantly slow your computer down, but notice how awesome it is. We can put that at 2 levels, and it just completely gets rid of that issue for us there. So now if we play this back, it should play a little slower, but it just looks amazing. Now, how do we get this to be even more detailed, guys? Well, the way we're going to do that is we're just going to add another level of subdivisions. Now, when I do this, my computer may crash, but it's a chance that I'm willing to take. Now, we're going to need to rebake this. As you guys can see, it looks really weird right now, and it's because we need to go back to frame 1, go to our cloth settings, delete the bake, bake again. Now, as you guys can see, the more subdivisions you add, the slower this is going to go, but the results are going to be well worth it. So let's go ahead and wait a moment. I'm going to get a drink of water while this bakes. We're only baking to frame 100, and when I do the final animation for Instagram, I'll probably do more frames than this, but this should look pretty cool when it's all said and done. Now, what's crazy is we're kind of just experimenting here, guys. We're going through this, and we're facing these challenges as they come, so we can only get better from here. We're just going to keep improving this as we go. And right now, this looks really cool, but just watch when we apply an actual cloth shader to this material, how awesome this is going to look. As you guys can see, the bake is almost done, and I'm really excited to see how this is going to come out. I am live streaming currently, so I'm going to make sure that everyone else can also see what we're doing here. Awesome. Make sure you guys can see that. All right, cool. The bake is done. Let's go ahead and take a look at the result. I'm actually going to unplug my phone here. All right, cool. Sorry, guys. All right, let's go ahead and play this back. I'm going to actually save this too, but let's go ahead and see what this is going to look like. Wow. Whoa. Now, this is the kind of result you get with a lot of subdivisions. Now, what's interesting is I would like to see this thing kind of not react as quickly, but it does. Oh my gosh, it just looks so cool. You can get some incredible results with this. What's crazy is this isn't even a cloth surface. This is just like a nice metallic surface that just looks pretty good in general. Imagine what it'll look like when we have this thing really looking just, oh my god, it's gonna look so good. Watch this thing press down. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And boom. Whoa, look at that ripple. Incredible. Just looks so good. Obviously it's playing back very slowly because this is in not rendered view, but looks pretty cool. Now the turbulence is helping account for that too, but you can see when this presses in, it is indeed pressing in the proper shape. Another thing I'm going to take a look at is the actual collision itself. So one of the things I want to pay attention to here, guys, I'm going to unbake this, delete the bake, is the actual physics of everything. So where this thing touches, I want to make sure that it's absolutely precise as possible because we want to leave an imprint on the cloth. So we want it to be like very, very accurate, and the edges should be as close as possible when they actually touch down. So let's go ahead to our collision settings for this, which are in the physics properties. Now this thickness outer is kind of like the most important thing here. It looks like it's working, but I'm going to go ahead and remove the collision from these other ones, and we're just going to focus on this one piece here. Again, we just have collision on this one. Thickness outer right now is 0.02. Let's go ahead and make it maybe 0.1, and I just want to see the difference. I'm going to go ahead and bake this again. Let's go ahead and give this up to like frame, I don't know, 30, and just see how this piece interacts. And that way we'll know the exact settings that we have to apply to all of these other pieces here. Again, guys, this is a lot of trial and error. I've pretty much given you everything you need to actually do this, but at this point, you're just going to have to mess around with the settings and figure out what works best for you. Okay, so this is great. So this is the exact thing I was looking to get. So you guys see how now when this thing presses in, it's much more accurate right here. Actually, it's not much more accurate. It's actually less accurate, but the actual way that everything pushes out from the logo, we want to make sure that it's as close as possible to the logo. So I'm going to delete the bake, go back to my collision, and I'm going to set the thickness back to like 0.01. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and add that same setting to each one of these. Thickness outer 0.01. Thickness outer on this one will also do 0.01. Sorry guys that I have to add this individually, but this is just kind of what you have to do. 0.01 and collision 0.01. Cool. All right, so when we go ahead and let me just make sure collision is on everything. Yep, it is. When we go ahead and bake this again, it's going to look fantastic. But again, guys, another thing I want to do is kind of mess with the actual cloth physics themselves. So let's go ahead and check those out. So we're in our cloth settings right now. The quality steps are very high. Vertex mass, let's go ahead and take a look at that. I almost want that to be higher. Right now it's 0.3. Let's try 1 and just see what we get. Now guys, again, we're experimenting here. We're figuring out what this is going to look like as we go. this is the process. This is what nobody shows you. When you guys watch tutorials on this stuff, you're watching hours and hours and hours of experimentation that actually went into the actual tutorial itself. I don't like to do that. I like to show you guys the real process. This is about as real as it gets. So we're learning as we go. All right, that's good. We're going to go ahead and stop the bake there. Let's go ahead and watch this. Awesome. So look at this imprint now. Wow. Incredible. Now, it's interesting because if you look from the camera view and you play this back, the moment that it hits, this is perfect. Now, I adjusted that vertex weight up to 1 kilogram, and it just looked awesome. I almost want this thing to continue to move down. So what I would like to do is at about frame 20, this thing hits, and then it kind of stops. I think what I would like to do is just have this thing slowly keep going into the cloth, or after it hits frame 20, maybe at about frame 40, it just goes down even more. So I'm just going to bring it down even more and see if we can really get this thing to press in. Again, I'm inserting all these keyframes for our empty, which is controlling our physics objects. Let's go ahead and delete the bake and bake one more time and see the result we're going to get. Now, if we really like this result, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some cloth to this, or a cloth material. We have our cloth, we have our shape, which is our logo that is pressing into the cloth. We have some really nice lighting with just the HDRI. I don't think you need more than that. I think this looks awesome. Again, thank you for the person that suggested this tutorial. I just think this is going to look incredible. And what I love, guys, is that we're in a free program called Blender. Does it really get better than this? This is free, guys. The stuff that I'm showing you is completely free. The YouTube video is free. The program's free. All the textures I'm showing you are free. Even the logo I downloaded was all free. No excuses, guys. You got this. Now, again, you can find whatever logo you want. You don't have to use this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at what our animation looks like now. So I'm playing this back. It's going to initially press in. Looks great. And then it's going to continue to go down. Or it should. I thought I had it continue to animate down. Did I not insert that keyframe properly? All right, maybe I didn't. I thought I keyframed it. Okay, I did. It just didn't go down far enough, I guess. I would like this to go down even more. So I'm just going to exaggerate this, pull it way, way down here. And we're going to rebake one more time, guys. Again, experimentation. This is the raw footage. This is not edited. I'm showing you guys how it is. When you guys do client work, this is what you're going to go through. This is the type of stuff you have to get used to. A lot of back and forth, a lot of changes, a lot of experimentation, waiting for things to bake, waiting for things to render. I try to keep it real because I don't like cutting videos up. One, it just takes a lot of my time. And two, I just want to make sure that I'm showing you guys actually how it goes. Again, I know you can't see the timeline, but this thing is baking right now. I'm just going to let it bake all the way to frame like 80 or so. And then once that's done, we'll go ahead and play this back and see what it looks like. I think it's going to look fantastic. I really do. All right, we'll stop it here. All right, escape, again, is how you stop, guys. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go ahead and play this back. Oops. Play it back from frame 1. Wow. Look at that. You know, it's interesting. It's starting to close in on our object here, but it's kind of cool looking. This isn't exactly what I wanted, so I'm probably going to remove those last keyframes. I do like this initial part, though. You know what I'm thinking, guys? This is really cool. You know what I'm thinking we might be able to do is actually duplicate our physics object, and then what if we have it press from underneath afterwards? So I'll just show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and delete this keyframe. I don't want this going down any further. I'm going to go back to solid view. I'm going to unbake our simulation again. Delete the bake. I'm actually going to have this thing raise back up at frame 30. Like that. And then here's what we're going to do. This is going to be really interesting, guys, and pay attention. I'm going to highlight everything here, the empty and all the objects. Shift D, okay? Just bring this up so we can kind of separate it from everything else. Now, click on your empty, highlight those keyframes, delete them. So now you can see that this piece is not moving. We're going to go ahead and bring this down below. Let's go ahead and check our timing here. We have this top piece is coming down at about frame 20, and then at about frame 20 to 30, it is going to raise back up. Here's what I want to do. On frame 20, I want to insert the location and rotation of this one, and then at frame 30, I want to bring it back up like that. Now, again, all of this has physics. I am very curious to see what happens. Now, if we play this back in real time, it's probably not going to work, but let's just go ahead and take a look. So it presses down, the cloth gets distorted, right? And then this other piece is going to come up from underneath. All right, that other piece is going to need to come up even higher than that. Right about there. And then this top empty, we need to animate upwards like that. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and rebake this. Bake. Now go ahead and give this a second. Now there's a lot of physics going on here. We have two objects now going to be interacting with our cloth, but I am very, very curious to see the end result. Sorry that this tutorial is so long, guys. This is kind of just what you get with simulations. This is the way these things go. As you guys can see at the bottom there, I am baking. I know my face is kind of blocking the bake, so I'll try to move that up. It's fine. Cool. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. All right, I'm going to escape it here because I want to see what we got. Let's go ahead and play it back. We got our top one pressing in as usual, and then our second one should come back. Huh! Kind of cool. It's interesting because I didn't expect it to look like that, but you see this initial moment where this thing is right here. I actually want it to be like that. So I want it to show the outline of our logo a lot, and right about here it does. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the empty. I'm going to insert the location and rotation there, and I'm actually going to delete the other keyframe because I just want it to go right there. And then for this one, I am going to go to frame 34, bring it back down to like right here, insert a keyframe, and then I'm also going to go to this one, the bottom object, and I'm going to move that down as well. All right, so there's a lot going on here. I know it's hard to follow. I'm messing with the keyframes. I'm messing with the way that I think the physics are going to look. I'm rebaking right now, and let's just go ahead and see what Blender is going to give us. There is a lot going on here, guys, with the physics, so I'm curious to see. Blender looks like it's running through it pretty quickly. I'm really excited to see how this one comes out. I just think that when we move these objects back and forth, we're going to get some really cool effects. Now, there's another thing we could do. We could add some force fields to our actual physics objects, but now we're getting into some crazy stuff. There's already a turbulence force field that is animated, as you guys saw before. I'd be curious to see what would happen if we actually remove that. As you guys can see, the bake is actually going quite quickly here, so let's go ahead and just let it finish and see what happens when it's all said and done. It is almost done here. Again, really excited to see what this looks like, guys. Thank you, all my live streamers who have stuck with us here. And the bake is almost done. And again, guys, when I do fully bake this, for the final render, I will definitely bake it out to a longer frame. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Cool, we have our logo pressing in. The other one comes in, and then this one presses back down. Oh my gosh. All right, that looks really cool, and I'm really happy with that. Let me play it back in rendered view, if I can. Let's just see if it does play in rendered view. Boom, our logo drops down, hits our surface, ripples it. The other logo comes back underneath, hits that. Now we have a huge ripple, and then our top logo comes back down for another time. I think it already did that. Did it already do that? Kind of hard to tell from this angle. Yeah, it did. Okay, so it did come back down. Maybe it's easier to see from this. Boom. Second wave there. Oh my gosh. It just looks so good. Now, what's crazy about this is you just kind of have to frame up your camera properly. In this case, we have our HD camera. I think I'm going to just adjust my dimensions for Instagram. So I'm just going to raise the camera up a bit too. And just make sure the cloth kind of stays within that camera frame. It does not, so we're going to have to go down a little bit. Wow, it really squeezes in there. All right, we're going to have to like, maybe we'll do some custom camera animation too. But this already just looks so cool that I'm so happy with the result. At this point, I'm happy enough that I think I'm going to probably give this an actual cloth texture. So, guys, how do we get our cloth texture? I don't know. I guess we'll have to make it from scratch, right? Nope, we don't. Now, we could, but I would actually prefer not to. So I'm actually going to download a cloth texture from one of my favorite websites, polyhaven.com. I believe if you go to their assets, textures, we should be able to have some cloth here. Let's go ahead and click on fabric, and let's find something that suits us. This one's pretty cool right here. Let's see. Let's take a look at this one. This one's pretty interesting. I want to look at this one too. I like the white, leather white. Yeah, I don't know if we want leather. I think we're looking more for like a soft kind of fabric feel. I think we're going to go with this one for now. Let's go ahead and download the Blender file. All right, gotta love it. Download that. And as you can see, it's downloading right now. I'm going to unzip it once it's done, and we'll go ahead and install it. Or we'll open up the file. All right, here it is right here. And there it is right there. I'm just going to go ahead and drag that into my downloads. And we're going to go ahead and open that up. And we're just going to go ahead and copy the, well, you could append the actual material. I forgot, you have to take both of these. All right, so we're just going to go ahead to our other folder here. I'm going to go to my documents, Blender, material library, and I'm going to make a new folder. I'm just going to call it fabric. And we're going to go into that. And then I'm just going to copy these files into the fabric folder. And you need the Blender file and the fabric. Sorry, guys, totally forgot. And then if you open this up, it should be there. Okay, there it is. So cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, minimize this Blender, go into our other Blender. It should just be able to paste that right in. And where is it? There it is right there. If we zoom in, there is our texture. So I'm just going to go ahead and shift click that, copy it over, and just like that, we have a nice texture material. I don't know if it's scaled properly, but it actually looks pretty good. Now, one of the things that I was thinking about probably doing is actually just desaturating it. I do like the way it looks right now, but let's go ahead into the shading tab and take a look at the actual scale of everything. As you guys can see, these are the nodes that we were given. We should be able to adjust our scale. That's larger scale, and then if we do these numbers right here, we have a smaller scale right there. That looks pretty good. I am curious if we can actually take which one's the color? All right, this one's the color right here. I think we can do saturation, hue saturation, plug that in, and I think we can just make it 0. All right, that's good enough for me. That looks good. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, that's just a really quick way to completely desaturate the texture, but I actually think it still looks pretty real. It looks pretty good for like a photo scan texture. I mean, guys, this is kind of what you get with free assets, but it looks good. It looks professional. I kind of want to stick to the 1920 by 1080 look, but let's go ahead and take a look at what this fabric looks like when we press down on it. Wow. It just looks so good. It looks so good. And again, we're pressing back into it here as well. It looks darn good. Guys, that's pretty much the tutorial. At this point, you would render. I'll do a quick test frame to just see, what this could look like. And you know what I'm going to do, guys? Because I really trust my gut on this one, I'm going to go back to my original dimensions. I am going to lower my camera into the scene here. I'm going to find a cooler angle for this. All right. And we're going to go for more of like a side view here. And I think I'm also going to enable the depth of field as well. All right, so let's go ahead to our camera, depth of field, select, I don't know, one of these objects, and just do a really intense depth of field look here. Hold on, 0.01. Oh my gosh, that's too much. Something like that might be good. And then let's give ourselves an 85mm lens. back our camera up a lot. Move it into place. Now at this point, we're going to have to probably do some camera animation. The way we're going to do that is a little bit of trickery. I'm very excited about this because you guys have asked me about this technique before, so I'm going to show you how I do it. Go ahead and add in an empty to our scene. Scale the empty up a lot. And then we're going to parent our camera to the empty. So shift-click the empty, parent, and now our empty is controlling our camera here, as you guys can see. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to go to frame 1, snap to the camera. And we are going to use our empty to control pretty much everything. I'm going to first just raise my camera up a bit, rotate down, raise my camera up some more, rotate down, and we're gonna keyframe both of these elements. So we might start with our camera like right here, right guys? I'm gonna keyframe the location and the rotation of the camera, as well as the location and the rotation of the empty. And then we're gonna go ahead forward on our timeline here, see how everything is moving. Now at this point, right about frame 30, I want the camera to be closer and I want the empty to rotate as well. So I'm gonna first move our camera down like this, a little bit closer, rotate it up, move it down like that, insert our keyframes, and then I'm going to take our empty, and now look what we can do with our empty. We can control the rotation of it. So I think I'm going to rotate it like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at this shot. Wow, look at that. And then we'll go to like frame 60, and then maybe just add some more into here. So I'm going to go ahead and take our empty, move us down here, insert the keyframes, go to the camera, maybe rotate up a bit like that. And then what we'll do is we'll just kind of smooth all the keyframes out. So as you guys can see, if I play this back, we have our press, right? And then our camera and everything should rotate with it. Right, just like that. It looks pretty good. You guys can really work on this as much as you want to, but I think this is looking really, really solid. Again, we have our depth of field enabled, so this whole shot is just going to look impeccable regardless. It just looks cool. I don't know. I think I might rebake with a higher turbulence and just see what we get there. It just looks good. It just looks right. Again, this is Blender, guys. So imagine if we took maybe some of these objects, messed with the materials a little bit more, maybe made them lower roughness. Actually, let's do that. Let's click on each one of these and just lower the roughness completely. Yep, perfect. Lower that roughness. Just give them a little bit of interesting stuff going on there. And again, guys, this is all lit by an HDRI, so there's really not a lot going on here, but we can make it look like there is. Let's go to the turbulence force field, and let's go ahead and keyframe on like frame 40, okay? Let's keyframe it and just raise up that value to like 150. All right, and now we're gonna rebake this one last time, guys. Go ahead and delete that bake. Go to frame 120, how about it? Bake it. Let's go ahead and give this a moment to bake, guys, and let's just see what we get. Are you guys getting a lot of value out of this? I hope you are. I think there's a lot to be taught here. This isn't even really scraping the surface. I'm just showing you guys the basics. It's crazy what you can accomplish with just the basics. Really, it is. This is all basic stuff. We haven't even gone into like anything complicated here. I mean, in my opinion, it's just some camera angles, a few rotation keyframes, some physics settings, and then some basic coloring of objects. There's really not a lot going on here. But you notice how we can make it look like there is? That's the power of Blender. We can make it look like it is actually a professional shot from some industry standard, quote unquote, industry standard program, when in reality, it's just created with a free program with a little bit of knowledge on some of the basic stuff. Someone in the chat asks, what does baking do? Baking allows us to play this back at a faster frame rate. It also stores the animation data or the physics data. So it's basically like, okay, how is this going to react when all the physics touch everything? It basically makes Blender remember what actually is going on without having to recalculate it every time you play it back. All right, let's go ahead and actually play this back and take a look at what our turbulence does now. So we have our ampersand, whatever symbol, touching down, our logo. Then the other logo touches back down. And now at this point, the turbulence should go crazy right about now. And it is, as we can see. This looks awesome. And it goes to about frame 120. Here's what I want to do, guys. I'm going to do one more part of animation for this top one. From frame 34 all the way up to frame 120, I am going to rotate this like this. Okay? And I'm going to just bring it... Actually, let's keep it there. Let's keep it there. Let's bake one more time. But before we bake, hear me out, guys. I'm going to add in a floor plane underneath of everything. Oops. Just bring it down. And you'll see, we'll mess with this later. But let's go ahead and rebake one more time, guys. This is the final rebake. And then after this, I promise, no more rebaking. We're just going to animate the camera. Again, this is a really in-depth tutorial, guys. If you guys are liking this, make sure you subscribe right now before this video is even over, because I think you're just really going to get a lot of value out of this, some of the stuff that we're going to be teaching in the future. Guys, this is the industry standard. If you guys want to impress a client, I'm going to offer this file on probably Gumroad or something like that, maybe my Patreon. You can take this file, add your client's logo, add all of the physics properties that I showed you, and you can make your own professional animation that is absolutely going to blow your clients away. This isn't even for a client. This is just for fun to show you guys how to use the program. There's a lot of value in this video, so please make sure you're following every single step when you're doing this. I don't want you guys to miss out on any details. Again, a lot of this is basic stuff, in my opinion. It gets more complicated if we really went into like the real physics of it all, and I'm not even doing that. I'm just using the default settings that Blender provides us, so you can accomplish a lot with just that. As you guys can see, we're almost at frame 120 here. I could talk about this stuff all day. Someone says, love your work, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. Again, we're kind of going into the details as much as possible, but still keeping it on a base level so that anyone who hasn't even used the program can understand what we're doing here. All right, as we can see, we're almost done. I'm really, really excited to see what this is going to look like. All right, 120. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Hold on, let me zoom in on here. Look at the way this thing, it looks like it's interacting with the cloth. Now, it's cutting into it a little bit, so we need to be kind of careful here. Oh, I see what's happening. We got to move this one out of the way. All right, we're going to have to rebake one more time, guys. I'm so sorry. Because this one should have moved out of the way by then. We're just going to move this one completely under this plane. And we're going to rebake. Because we don't want them to clip together. I apologize, guys. Let's go ahead and delete the bake. And let's actually bump our quality steps down to 5. I don't think you need 8. Let's bake again. It should bake much quicker now, too. Yep, it's baking much quicker. You guys can bump this up even more. You can have more subdivisions. You can have less. You can have it be low poly if that's the effect that you're looking for. It really is up to you guys. I think I gave you enough already that you can already just jump right into this, add your own logo, impress the crap out of a client. I think this stuff is just incredible. Someone said, bro, upload tutorial, I missed the session. This is all being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. I've been recording this whole time, don't worry. Can I know what you are creating? Guys, we are creating a logo press into fabric. Some really, really cool high-level stuff here. Although it's not really high level, it's actually what I consider to be the lowest level. It's just we make it look high level with these tips and tricks that I'm showing you guys along the way. The bake is almost done. We're almost at frame 120. Let's go ahead and just wait this out. All right, we're good. All right, let's go ahead and watch what happens from the beginning. So guys, this is what you missed. For those of you who haven't seen, this is what you missed. Let's go ahead and play this back. As you guys can see, the logo touches into our fabric here. Now, real quick, rendered view. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. This is rendered view here. Look at that ripple. Look at that. Look at that logo press right there. Oh my gosh. Incredible. All right, let's go back to solid view. I want to see how the physics interact at the end here. So the other logo comes back up and then goes away. This is perfect. Now, as you guys can see, you can notice how the logo kind of ends like this. I really like that because I want to kind of showcase an inner shot of the logo there. So I might try to animate the camera so that it's kind of like facing our logo here. I'm curious. I have one more idea of what we might be able to do here. With our force fields, guys, what if we had this cloth be pulled taut on every corner with a negative force field at the end? Should we just try it? And that'll be the last thing we try. Delete the bake. As much as it pains me, guys, delete the bake. Add in a force field. And then we're just going to move this to the corner over here. Go to frame 0. Go to frame 1, by the way. Yeah, okay, we're going to move it to the corner. Right about here. And then I think I'm going to just move it down a bit. And I'm going to kind of line it up with the corner the best I can. Now at this point, I want the strength to be 0. And I'm going to go to frame 60. And I am going to keyframe it at 0. And then go to frame 120. And I'm going to keyframe it at negative 100. Now, we're just going to do a really quick low-level test to see if this is working. And if it is pulling the cloth properly, we're going to put one in every corner and just see what happens. So go ahead and click on the cloth. And then for quality steps, we'll just do like 3. Go ahead and bake that out. Now, again, guys, we're just going to wait this out, see what happens. If the cloth gets pulled towards the actual force field, which I think it should, it is a force field, it should interact with physics, we'll be kind of moving here, and we'll be able to actually take this cloth and do some crazy things with it. I'm hoping that it gets quote-unquote pulled taut towards that force field. I'm just going to wait this out until it gets to frame 120, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen here. Because if we pull at every corner, it should get pulled taut, as if someone's stretching it out from every corner. That's kind of the effect we're going for. Again, negative 100 for a force field is very intense, so I'm very curious to see what will happen here. It looks like, is anything even happening? When does our force field get to? Right here, it should start interacting with the cloth. No, I guess it's not working. That's weird. Okay, it's not. Is it pulling at it, or am I just imagining that it is? Yeah, I don't think it's actually working. Actually, if anything, the rest of the cloth looks like it might be. Let's see, did I do that properly? Negative 100, flow 1. Let's try negative 1,000. How about negative 5,000? Absolutely insane number, but let's try it. Let's go ahead and delete the bake. And quality steps, I'll just do like 1 for now. Bake it. Should bake very, very quickly for us. Again, when we do this high-level animation, we're going to be like doing like 5 or 8 quality steps to make sure we get a really accurate simulation here, guys. It's kind of similar to the resolution of a liquid simulation, just like the way that it handles the cloth. Cloth simulations can be kind of a pain, not going to lie. I'm really curious to see if this thing just gets completely pulled from the scene. Oh my god. Okay, so as you guys can tell, it is getting pulled towards the cloth, or towards the force field. So that value, we know that value was the problem. This is obviously way, way too much. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, go to that last keyframe where the force is very high. I'm going to do like negative 1,000. Is that what we had before? I think before we had negative 100. I'm going to do negative 1,000. I'm going to delete the bake. And then I'm going to just go back to frame 0. And I'm going to duplicate this on every single corner. Shift D to duplicate. Control to kind of like snap it into place there. And then I'm going to just highlight both of them, duplicate them. Perfect. All right, so at this point, these should all be keyframed properly. They're just located in different spots. Let's go ahead and bake again. Did you guys think we would be baking this much? I mean, what is this, a bakery? This is crazy. Yeah, I said it. That's a blender pun. But I'm excited to see if this gets pulled taut. It's about frame, I think it's like 90 to 120, or it's like 70 to 120 that it should get pulled taut. Again, I have no idea. This might rip the cloth apart entirely. I'm actually kind of scared to see what's going to happen here. Let's go ahead and play it back. Logo presses in. Everything looks fine so far. Presses back in. And then it kind of turns. Interesting. Everything looks good. Wow, look at that. That is not what we want. It's not what we want, but it's kind of cool looking. But it's not what we want at all. So I think we're going to just get rid of the force fields. I just don't think they're going to help our scene. Again, this is all about experimentation. Let's delete the bake. And then I'm going to do one last final touch to this. I'm going to go to my turbulence. I'm going to delete the part where it goes. Actually, I'm going to have it slowly raise in strength over a period of longer frames. So final bake, this is it. And then we're going to render a test frame, and that is it. We will not do any more physics with this. We have spent way too much time on this, but I'm trying to go into every single detail for you guys because I know it's valuable. So at this point, we just wait this out, see how this bake looks, and then after this, I think we just finish up our camera shots, and we're good to go, guys. I'm really excited about this. It was pretty simple. There's really not too much high-level stuff going on here. You guys could spend a lot more time on this. This is what we have right now, and then turbulence will slowly increase. Looks good. The fabric's getting pushed back. This is awesome. This is just awesome. And then by frame 120, it'll look like that. So let's go ahead and make our end frame 120 for our animation. Oops, not 1200, 120. Snap to our camera. And let's just take a look at what this looks like. Let's go ahead and render a test frame, guys. Let's render a test frame at 300 samples. Denoising, we'll choose optics. Light paths, I'm just going to bump everything up to 5. That's fine. And 25 for the total. And let's just see what we get, guys. Let's go ahead and render our image. Now, again, this is 1920 by 1080, so just standard HD size. Let's go ahead and see how long this render is going to take. It looks like it's going to take less than like 15 seconds or so, possibly. It looks damn good. Damn, that fabric looks incredible. Wow. All right, it took about 17 seconds. Another thing I was going to say, guys, maybe we enable motion blur, but damn, does that look good. Holy crap. It looks so damn good. I'm really excited to see what this is going to look like, because our object obviously doesn't look that realistic. It's just like a nice glossy shader. But the fabric, if you zoom in here, it actually looks like real fabric, genuinely, like even from my angle. And that just goes to show you, if you have the right textures, guys, you can achieve some incredible results here. All right, well, I'm going to kind of wrap this tutorial up, guys. If you enjoyed this, subscribe, okay? More great things to come. And I hope you guys got value out of this. I really do. I genuinely care a lot about these videos, and the only reason they take so long is because I don't skip over the details, okay? I'm not saying that other people do, but I never will, because every single part of my process you guys should see, because it's literally every single struggle that I go through. I feel like you guys should also share that with me too, so you understand what it's actually like to work in 3D. So, if you guys enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe. I know it's so cliche to say that, but please do it. It helps my channel a lot. I'm trying to grow here. Check me out on Instagram, TikTok. Eventually, I'll have like a little Facebook page, just haven't gotten to it. We do have a Discord channel that is 600 plus strong. Fabulous. People are in there every day commenting. It's awesome, and you guys are sharing your projects. So go ahead and check out that community. It's amazing. DM me on Instagram if you have any problems with the tutorial or you need any help. Again, guys, it's Kenny Phases. I have been more than happy to share this tutorial with you guys. Have a great day. Take care. Go out there and start your project.